today we are practicing yoga for a tight chest and shoulders. And we're going to begin standing up today. So go ahead and get ready. Coming towards the front end of your mat if you're practicing on a mat, or your space, wherever you are today. And we're just going to begin in Tadasana. So I'm going to show you Tadasana front on. Feet together or a little bit wider if that makes you feel more comfortable. You can go as wide as the hips or even the shoulders if that gives you a more grounded stance. And wherever you're placing your feet, just take a moment to rock your weight forwards and backwards, soften the knees, and then just see if you can find that midpoint where your weight is pretty evenly spread throughout the feet. And ideally, we're looking for all four corners of the feet to be equally grounded without letting the toes clench. Activate them. Maybe spread the toes a little bit, place them down on the mat, and then just tuck the hips ever so slightly so that our hips end up in perfect alignment over our heels. Our shoulders sit on top of our hips, our head on top of our shoulders, and then we're going to stretch the fingertips down towards the ground, either closing the eyes or just softening the gaze. And just coming to observe our breath here for a moment. So the breath can be natural. You don't need to deepen or change the breath just yet. Just simply observe the breath coming in and out of the body, however it's doing it. There's no wrong or right. And then just scan through the body for a moment, starting from the top of the head and just work your way down. Noticing how the body feels, if there are any sensations that you're aware of. And then when you've scanned the entire length of the body, just take a moment to check in with your thoughts or whatever might be happening inside your mind. And then bringing that awareness and attention back to the breath when you're ready. And slowly beginning by taking a slightly deeper breath into the belly. Slightly deeper breath out. And this can be either through the nose or through the mouth. Breathing in. And again, deeper breath out. One more breath like that. Inhaling deeply. And exhaling fully. And remaining in control of your breath. So keeping the breath somewhat deep, somewhat even. Just let the breath settle somewhat. Bring your attention into the soles of your feet and just ground down through those feet into the earth. And as you ground down, see if you can lengthen up to the crown of the head, drawing the shoulders away from the ears. So we're just finding this sense of being really connected and in our bodies. So still aware of the breath, aware of the body. You can either keep the eyes closed or they can gently open. If you'd like, we're just going to roll the shoulders back. You can relax the fingers. I'm just taking just a couple of rounds, just inhaling if you can as the shoulders rise up towards the ears, exhaling as you draw the shoulders down and away. A few more times, breathing in, breathing out. Once more. Beautiful. Either bringing the hands to the hips or hands together at heart center. If you prefer, pressing the palms lightly in towards one another if those hands are meeting together in front of the chest. Let's bend the knees. Doesn't need to be a deep bend. Just look down and check your knees are tracking over your toes. If your toes disappear completely, pull your shins and your knees and your hips backwards ever so slightly. There'll be a bit of a hinge happening. Engaging your abdominal muscles. Just taking a bit of a high chair pose here. Press down through all four corners of the feet. Find that length through the spine. Make sure the chest is opening and we're engaging our lower abdominal muscles. Pull the belly button towards the top of the pubic bone. Take a breath or so here. Beautiful. On your next breath out, let's fold forwards. Forward fold. Any forward fold that feels good and comfortable. You're welcome to have the legs straight, or you can bend the knees, maybe grabbing hold of opposite elbows if that feels nice. You might just find stillness here, or you might sway or rock the head a little bit. And there's no rush, but we'll take our time to just let those arms or those hands come down to the mat, and we're just going to walk the feet backwards And we might pause in a bit of a downward dog if that feels like a nice place to be. You can come straight into your child's pose if you'd prefer. We're all meeting in child's pose when we're ready. Any variation of child's pose, knees can be together, they can be wide. And we're just going to rest here with forehead down to the ground for a few breaths. Okay, beautiful. So when you're ready to lift the head and chest, and we're going to be very mindful of our bodies as we move into this next shape. I'm going to invite you to reach the fingertips towards the very top end of your mat. And then come down onto the forearms for a moment, keeping the forearms in line with the shoulders. And we're just going to slide the knees a little bit further back now. So we're creating just a little bit of a wider stance, a wider space between the ends of our body than we would in our child's pose normally. And now option one is start to sink the chest down towards the ground. You can keep the hips high up towards the ceiling. And you might find that here in this position, you actually get a really nice opening for the chest and movement happening in between the shoulder blades, the upper back. So you might decide that you just want to stay here if this feels good. If it feels okay to take this a little bit deeper, then you have the option of starting to maybe extend the arms or just draw the chest back. You may need to even widen the space between your knees and your elbows. And you can work towards straightening the arms out. The chest doesn't need to come down to the ground, but for some of you, you may be able to do that. You may even rest the chin on the mat, or you may rest the forehead, or you may just stay in this position with the head lifted for a few breaths. If this starts to feel too much on the arms or shoulders at any point, come up, make this less intense if you need to. I'm just taking a few more breaths here. Beautiful. And slowly, when we're ready to come out of this, if you're in this quite deeply, I'd recommend you just creep the fingertips back in. So just gently bring the arms in and sit the hips back towards the heel. So you come back down towards that child's pose position. Beautiful. We can slide the arms in and roll our way up, coming to sit. If sitting on the knees is comfortable, you can stay there. If you'd rather sit cross-legged or on a chair or in any other sitting position, that's absolutely fine. Okay. So however it is that you're sitting, take a moment just to find that length through the spine and maybe just close the eyes and check in with how the shoulders, the chest, the neck area feels. There may be some sensations going on there that are different from before. Okay, beautiful. When you're ready, let's take a breath in. We're going to reach the arms out and up overhead. As you exhale, interlace the fingers, just whichever way around feels most natural and comfortable, and then draw up through the wrists, pull the shoulders up towards the ears, hug in those lower abdominal muscles, so engage your core, and then see if you can lengthen a little bit more while keeping that lower abdominal engagement. So we're trying to keep the spine in alignment while we stretch and create more space. One more breath here. Beautiful. Exhale, release the arms. Take a moment just to breathe in and breathe out. Okay, inhale, reach the arms up overhead once again. Now, if you're able to, as you exhale this time, take the opposite interlace of the fingers. And it can be a little bit weird and tricky, but the way to know when you've done it is when it feels really awkward and uncomfortable. So same thing, when you've got that opposite interlace of the fingers, don't worry if it takes you a little bit longer than the first side to figure out. Same thing, breathe in, lengthen up to the spine, draw up through the wrists, lift the shoulders up towards the ears, and then hug in those lower abdominal muscles. So we're making sure as we take this lengthening action that we're not misaligning the spine and popping the chest and the ribs out. We're holding the ribs in alignment, and we're drawing those lower abdominal muscles in, belly button towards top of the pubic bone. You can engage the pelvic floor muscles too. That lower abdominal contraction is what helps us to maintain the alignment of the upper spine. Okay, so breathing here for one more. As we breathe out, take the arms down and just take a breath, maybe even roll the shoulders if that feels good. Just observing the sensations, checking the alignment in the body. Beautiful, really nice. Okay, we're going to come into a bit of a side movement here. So if you need to adjust, if you're on a chair or sitting in a different position, then take your time to do so. I'm going to mirror you. So we're going to bring our right hand down onto our mat and we're going to be on our right knee. and shin, and we're going to extend that left leg out to the side. Okay, if you need extra padding for that right knee, then please feel free, grab cushion, towel, blanket, anything that you may have to make this comfortable and safe for you. Okay, so what we're doing with our left arm, as we breathe in, we're going to half circle the fingertips up towards the ceiling, maybe looking up if that feels good. As we breathe out, we're going to continue that circle, bringing the arm all the way down. Beautiful. 2 more times. Inhaling with your breath, so timing this with your breath. Inhale as we make the half circle up. Exhaling as we circle down. Really nice. 1 more round. Exhaling. Now we're going to do 3 back in the opposite direction. So this time as you inhale, take the arm up. Exhale, circle down. Beautiful. 2 more. Making sure as you're doing these, we're maintaining the alignment of the spine. So keep hugging in those lower abdominal muscles while you're here. Beautiful. Okay, so when you finish, take 1 last breath in, reach that arm up, and then pause with the arm overhead if that feels good. If you prefer, you can keep the arm up towards the ceiling. If it feels good, stretch those left fingertips overhead towards the wall on the other side. If you press the outside edge of your left foot down into the mat, as if someone's actually pulling you in two. So imagine someone stretching you from the fingertips, drawing that outside edge of your left foot down into the ground, hugging the lower abdominal muscles. Pull the shoulders away from the ears. Beautiful. And very gently when you're ready, keep breathing, circle that arm up, gently release, being mindful of your body. Take a moment to come back to your center, wherever that is. Either just softening the gaze or closing the eyes. Take a breath in and a breath out. And let's move to the other side. So we're taking our left hand down onto our mat, and our left knee and shin is just going to be on the ground, keeping us stable. Right leg extends, and ideally we want that foot flat so we can press the outside edge of the foot down into the mat. So again, pad up that left knee with whatever you have on hand if you need to. Okay, beautiful. So coming to this side on position. When we're ready, let's get our right hand and let's begin our circle. So let's inhale as we half circle the arm up, and then exhale as we bring the arm down. Beautiful. So just going with your breath, 3 rounds in each direction. You can bring the head and the neck into this if that feels good, making sure we keep the lower abdominal muscles engaged. So we're not letting that lower back arch or letting the spine misalign. Beautiful. Going back in the other direction when you've taken those first 3 rounds. Inhaling as the arm circles up. Exhaling as the arm circles down. And whenever you get to the end of your 3rd round, you're going to circle that arm back up once more. Option 1, keep the fingertips up towards the sky as you press the outside edge of your right foot into the mat with a little bit more pressure. If you want more intensity, bring that right arm overhead, stretch the right fingertips, and then imagine you're literally being pulled into, as you stretch through that upper body, hug the lower abdominal muscles in. Beautiful. 1 more breath here. When you're ready to, very gently, carefully bring yourself out and down, coming back to your center, just somewhere where you can take a moment to observe the sensations in the body. Breathe in, breathe out. Fantastic. When you're ready, let the eyes open if they're closed. Let's make our way onto our backs. So just coming in your own time, no rush, wherever you are. Take your time to come down comfortably and safely. And as we come down onto our back, it might feel good just to take the arms overhead and maybe just lengthen and stretch out through that spine, and then bring the knees into the chest. Just rock that back into your mat and into the floor for a moment. Quite a nice sort of massage for the lower back. Good, beautiful. Okay, so when you are ready, we're going to meet in center, keeping the knees in towards the chest. And I'd like to hug your right thigh on top of your left. So squeezing the thighs together as much as you can. Now, this might be enough for many of us. If this feels good, we're just going to stay here. If it doesn't feel painful and you have the ability to, you're welcome to just tuck those right toes underneath your left calf muscle or ankle. If you feel any pain whatsoever in your knees or ankle or hips doing this, just forget about that tuck. Squeezing the thighs is perfectly fine. It's perfectly enough. Okay. We're going to bring up our right elbow, our right arm, bending at the face, and I want you to hug your left arm underneath. So just like we were with the thighs, squeezing them together, I want you to squeeze the arms together, right elbow on top of left. And then option one is you might just squeeze the arms together and have the backs of the hands touching, or maybe just, they might not even be touching, they might just be out to the sides, which is fine. If it feels comfortable, you can touch the backs of the hands, or you can even do another bit of a little twist or crisscross, maybe bringing the palms somewhat together. Okay, so you choose what's going to work for you. So we're in a little bit of a pretzel, a bit of a twist here. Engage your lower abdominal muscles, take a breath in, and then stretch the fingertips overhead and stretch the toes away from you. Probably not going to get very far, so just a little stretch. It's just as far as feels accessible. Okay, so breathe in. As you breathe out, curl everything together. Hug the knees towards the elbows. Option if you want to lift the head and chest into a bit of a ball. That's totally optional. Inhale, head comes down, release, stretch and lengthen out. Exhale, hug the knees towards the elbows. Maybe the head stays down this time, that's absolutely fine, but hug the belly button into the spine. One last time. Inhale, stretch and lengthen. Exhale, hug the core muscles in, knees come towards elbows, maybe the head lifts. Beautiful, gently release, unravel your twists. Take a moment either to lie in your Shavasana just for a second, or you might want to just have the knees bent and just drop the knees side to side. Or anything else that feels good for your body, to be honest. Sometimes our body really knows best when it comes to counter poses and rest poses. Okay. So whatever it is that you're doing to reset, take your time to come back. To center when you're ready, hugging the knees back into the chest. We're going to do the other side. This is our last tough bit before we lie back and relax. Okay, so when you're ready to, this time we're going to hug the left thigh over the right, squeezing the thighs together. So option one is just keep the legs here. Option two, if you want to go further, if it feels okay for you and your body today, you can tuck the left toes underneath that right calf muscle or ankle. And this time we're bringing the left arm up in front of the face, and the right arm is going to sweep underneath. Okay, so that left elbow is closest to your face, left arm is closest to the face, right arm comes underneath. And then either backs of the hands, or maybe the hands don't even touch, maybe the palms. You just find what's working for you with your body today. Hug the abdominal muscles in, and we're going to get ready to inhale, and we're going to lengthen. Doesn't matter how much, doesn't need to be a big movement, just a little bit of space in the spine. Exhale, contract, option to bring the head and shoulders off the ground. 2 more times. Inhaling, lengthen. Exhale, contract. Inhaling to lengthen. Last time, exhale. Beautiful. Inhale as you come down, unwind. And again, see how your body wants to rest or reset. Take a deep breath in. Maybe those knees are dropping side to side. Maybe you're just lying in stillness. Okay, beautiful. So let's do one resting posture before our Shavasana. So I'd like you to come into this position I'm in with the knees bent, feet on the ground, lying on your back. Now, if you're able to, I'd like you to just lift your hips ever so slightly so that you can slide your hands and your palms are facing down. You're going to slide your hands underneath your bottom, and you're going to sit the hips back down, okay? So it should feel quite comfortable, okay? The bottom cheeks, the fleshy part of our bottom, should be coming to sit on the tops of the hands. Okay, so it shouldn't be too uncomfortable for them. And now from here, I'd like you to just see if the space is there, if you can walk the elbows in towards one another. As you do this, you'll feel that your chest starts to lift, okay? So you're going to press down with your hands and your upper arms. And what you'll probably see is that you create a bit of space behind the back and the spine. And if you're able to, just see if you can take some of the pressure off the head, off the back of the skull, by lifting the head just as far back as feels comfortable. We're coming towards our fish pose here. Some of you may come right onto the very top of the head if that feels okay to open up through the front of the throat. Some of you may decide it feels more comfortable to just extend the legs slowly so they're straight out on the ground. Wherever you are, you're pressing your hands and forearms into the ground. So your arms are doing the majority of the work, not your head or neck. And you don't need to be in a very deep version of this posture. You may find that you want to keep the back of the neck on the ground, and you're just going to press the hands and forearms down and just get a very, very subtle lift into that chest. Or it might not even feel subtle. It might feel very strong being here. So, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, so you're just doing what feels safe for you. Okay, what doesn't feel painful. Okay, now if you are all the way up on the top of the head, you're going to release onto the back of the head as you come out of this. So keep the arms and hands pressing into the ground. Gently lift and release the head. Okay, and when the back of the head is safely back on the ground, you can relax through the hips, float the hips up, slide them off the hands, and then gently remove the arms and hands from underneath your back. Let's straighten out the legs. If it feels good, maybe take one more stretch before coming to rest in your Shavasana, just for a moment, either hands facing upwards by the side of the body, or if you prefer, maybe hands on the belly, letting the feet relax, either closing the eyes or just softening the gaze, and just taking the next minute here. Let the breath be normal. And see if you can just observe anything that comes up in the mind without letting yourself get involved. Let the body be heavy, let the body be soft, let the breath be natural, let the mind just be. And if you have a little bit more time to spend here today, then as always, I'll invite you to stay here for as long as you would like or as you're able to. And if you need to get on with the rest of your day, then I'll invite you to bring one hand or maybe both hands onto the center of the chest. And just taking a moment, coming back to feel the breath, maybe becoming a little bit deeper, a little bit more conscious. Taking one last breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And in your own time, when you're ready, bringing yourself up from the ground. And thank you very much. I look forward to practicing with you again soon.